Kia ora, people. So I'm currently sitting here and I'm thinking about something, right? Of like reflecting on with our science in terms of we want to live forever. Like being able to change our DNA so that our lives will be longer. And so there's this thing for me about like immortality and like what does that mean? And from what I can tell from like a lot of ancient philosophies and everything, they were kind of obsessed with this, with immortality, the ability to live forever. Now there's a lot of debate around that, you know. A lot of it's a controversial topic, which I mean, no one really talks about it anymore because it's like, oh, it's totally unrealistic. But like at this point in time, as our technology advances, as it's going to, we're going to get to that point where children are going to be able, we're going to be able to change their DNA at a really early stage in their development in the womb, allowing them to live longer, which would be the first time ever, supposedly in human history, the first time ever within all of like time itself. Because if we're the only beings here, so you know, the mainstream of everything says that, you know, we are on this planet in space and there's no life around us, like in other galaxies, and that's pretty far, but like in other solar systems and everything, like that's what's kind of, you know, vast majority of people kind of live in a loop where it's like that, you know. But our technology is getting to a point, and it's going to continue evolving. Like we talk about these topics of like, oh, you know, people are going to be able to live for 120 years. 120 years, and they're going to be genetically aligned for that. Now we do know that DNA is immortal. There's a cell. My knowledge on this isn't super great, but I've watched a few documentaries. But like what they were saying, when I'm like not an expert, but what they're saying is that there was a lady, can't remember her name. I might find a link to what I watched, and essentially she had cancer. I think she died from cancer, and when she was trying to get treated for it. At that time, it was an old time where our medicine and everything wasn't very strong or anything. They were taking samples of all their patients back then, and they would usually ask, they didn't really ask to take any samples, and then, you know, to go on to check out your DNA to see if it has any significance or anything. And for this lady, she didn't get asked about it, and the doctor took the sample, and that sample, which was of cancerous cells, this lady had cells which were immortal. And supposedly, from the information that I was seeing, those cells are being used today for our development. And it's a specific type of cells from this lady, and it's been changed around, and it's gotten more advanced because like we've actually got that material, we can actually play with that material, which is like, it's outstanding, it's kind of freaky. And so we've expanded on this type of cancer cell which is immortal, and created more cells that we can learn about, and so that it don't die off as quick. Otherwise, the way that they were trying to preserve cells would only last, I think it was like a few days. I'm not 100% certain on that, but like the fact that if that information is true, which from what I could see it was true, it's in our facts, that means we've already got access to what eternal life looks like. Like this cell's been alive for a very long time already, but like We also don't know if there's a stopping point with its lifespan, because it just keeps going. So, you know, it might not necessarily be immortal, it might be a few hundred years old. But like the idea of extending our lifespan to that point, like this is going to become a reality. And I think one of the things we have to ask ourselves, if once the technology gets to the point where people can actually do what is necessary to have an extended life, like you should really question yourself and like the fact that you're going to die anyway, right? You're going to die. We're all going to die. Like that's just what it is. Everything dies, everything decays, everything goes into a state of decay. So, oh shit. Sorry, this is a really big ideas for me because they're still kind of fresh. And so like I kind of get stopped at certain points because I'm just going too far ahead. But the idea of extending your life, why? Why should we? And I think it's a real serious question you get to kind of ask yourself. Like, why would I want to live longer? What would that mean to me? And what does that look like? Something that I try to do is try to evaluate how long time is based on my perception of how long it's felt to be alive. I'm 21. And so for me, it's at this point in time, it's hard for me to really feel time itself, because I feel like we actually can have the ability to do that, to tap into what it feels like to be alive and how long it's felt for us, and actually try to reflect on your life from trying to sit at that perspective and see it, you know? Like, okay, I'm 21 and a bit years old. And something else I think is I'm on my third cell cycle. Every 7 years, you're totally new cells. So we have these cycles of cells. First 7 years, you're fully developed. And you've got all the cells there, not fully developed, as in like matured and stuff, but your body for the most part is put together. And now it's time for it to just grow, which is your teenage years. And a bit further than that too. But like that's also to do with the maturing stage. So then you get another 7, and you get 14 years. And so you've already had 2 cycles. And so this is where I come in. I'm like, yo, I got 3 cycles. I'm on cycle 3. It's because at 21, that is your 3rd cycle beginning. Cell cycle. And so that's how I see time sometimes in terms of view of myself. But when you reflect back, let's say you're watching this and you're 47 years old. 47, right? You look back on your past and you try to go all the way back, sort of being like 10, your earliest memory, that you can actually really kind of sit yourself in that memory enough to re-experience what happened within that experience, because it is an experience. And so you put yourself back in that place, and then you like kind of reflect to where you're at now from back then in that place. And it's like you can be your younger self, viewing yourself in time to when you're 47. And then you can feel how long time has been for you. Like your conceptual idea of how far you can see in that way. It's like, sort of try imagine, like I was thinking earlier, trees. Like, I'll show you, man. This is where I'm sitting. Hold up. I remember how to flip the camera. Nah, I don't got it. I'm sitting up here and I'm seeing all this. So I got a little bit of civilization, a little bit over there that's growing and developing, and then over here we got just nature. And I like to come up here and feel that out. Like the trees, those trees over there have been around longer than I have, and for probably most likely around half the population is younger than that tree, or potentially the same age as that tree. I don't know how old that tree is, you know. It's a pine tree. We cut them down all the time here in New Zealand. But, and then we have trees that live for hundreds of years, and they see generations of us as humans. Well, they live through generations. So then it just comes back to that thing, like when you start to sit in that place of seeing time for yourself, like how you've personally experienced time with how long you've been around and what that feels like you gotta go into yourself a little bit there and just sit on it. And if I had the opportunity to extend my life, why would I? Like my natural life cycle to the point where I'm going to die whenever or however that may be. Because death's around the corner, always. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't view death as necessarily a bad thing. It can be awful circumstances involved with a death, which is saddening, and sucks for people to experience being on the other end of that, of this person's death. But like, regardless of that, we are all going to die, whether it's pleasant or not. But imagine, imagine this. Imagine actually extending your life, right? You're actually going through and changing your DNA so you extend your life. But then you die earlier than that. It's like not a guarantee, you know? You could be around for 60 years and get a sickness that ends up killing you. And then you've supposedly, genetically, allowed to live for, let's say, 200 years. Screw it, 200 years, you know? Or even to be more realistic with where we're at, it would be a possibility within the next 10 to 20 years as we develop. It's like there could be a chance to bump it to 170 as long as you stay healthy and stuff. Ooh, man. But what is time? And how does time relate to me? And how do I relate to it? Because it's fundamental to our existence. We live in it every day. You always look at the time, you check out dates, you put fucking time schedules and stuff on you. And it's like, you know, when you can look in the future, you can actually like play a role in your time. And that's what people do when they go to school and stuff, you know. But then like, if you're not doing anything, time's just getting you by, what does that feel like? What does, you like travel faster in time? Because you know, everyone experiences something different. Some people will experience a minute, like let's say 10 minutes, and then it feels like it's only been like a minute. And then it can be the other way around. Like people can feel like I've been here for 30 minutes and it's realistically it's only been 10 minutes. There's just something about those moments which make it feel way longer. Not to say that time itself shifts for people, because we have this constant, but it's like your perception of time in each of those moments can vary. What if every single part of your life is your ability to view upon time and calculate within time? Because we can do that. We're intelligent enough for that. I'd like to think so. How long is this video, dude? 14 minutes. I'm gonna end it here. kind of rambled on about a bunch of stuff, but like, it's just shit that I think about and just trying to understand like what's actually in front of me and trying to see things from a bigger picture. Not that I've got any of it right. I could be completely wrong with like my perspective on things, but I like to pose questions that everyone can kind of like ask themselves, because everyone's experience in life is very individualized, because it's based on you, like you, who you are, and who you feel you want to become as well. And we need to ask ourselves those questions to help us make decisions and move forward in everything, you know. Do I want this job? Do I want to look for a new job? Do I want to do this thing? Do I want to put in time as like when you go into schooling, you're investing in yourself when you go to school for your potential outcome of whatever direction and decision of like career or job that you want to move to. It's weird, man. It's weird. You know, I'm gonna end this here. Uh, yeah, these are just ideas, thoughts, not super serious. They just are what they are. I'm just posing questions. Alright, ciao.